Ted Ryman's the first one on today from Cape Town in the Republic of South Africa, joined by Alistair Murray. On the other side of the world from us, G'day from down under, Tom, Julia, and the Fozy, Alistair Murray, and presumably in Melbourne, Australia, the esteemed president of Sailing Australia, Australian Sailing. Paul Homchick, good afternoon. At least where he is, presumably in the Bay Area, but one never knows. Paul is another one of these international men of mystery, like David James, who is in the Bay Area, Ed Worley, who's in SoCal, Gordon Smith in Denmark, Graham Sweeney on a frosty evening in Shetland and Scotland, John Hanfield in chilly Newport. Well, it's in the Northern Hemisphere, at least. It's the bloody wintertime. It's cold here in San Francisco as well.
Yeah.
As we get this one across the starting line at a summery Portage Lake in Pinckney, Michigan. Welcome. Mary Jude Szymanski in Philadelphia, Warren Schasser, presumably, well, we don't know who's with him. Warren's in Brisbane in Australia. Good afternoon from Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club, our show number 666. Talk to Julia about that in a moment. Julia, my co-host, Commodore of the Beach Street Yacht Club, my landlady. I trust you're well.
Amazingly enough, I think I am.
Your ring matches your magenta. Andrew Pindar would be proud. Magenta dress and ring.
Yes, you have to do that.
Greg Phillips saying hi from the Gold Coast in Australia. The Australians, it's their Saturday morning where it's what? 0800 in Sydney. Pedro Foiling Sailor, another Australian, going to get some coffee. Hi, everybody. I'm your host, Tom Eamon, but then you probably all knew that as we get into today's show. As usual, a lot of topics to cover. Friday, the end of the week. Thank you very much for joining us. And you look at this picture, that, of course, is Jeddah. And the huge crowds, the throngs of spectators on the Corniche. Not. Barely a soul there. And I don't know what to make of all that. I think, as we said, maybe the joke is on Jeddah. They're getting some television coverage, but frankly, not as big a numbers as SailGP gets, as some other events get. But Julia, let's talk about 666.
Let's do.
Is that an auspicious number, or is that something else?
Depends on where you're from.
If you're Chinese,
yes,
666. You know what 6 means or sounds? The reasons it's auspicious in Chinese, or so I saw doing the research on the number. You know why?
No.
6 sounds in Chinese, the pronunciation of the number 6 sounds like smooth, the same word for smooth. So 666 is ultra smooth.
Yes.
So we might, our Beach Street Yacht Club bartender, whose nickname is Smooth,
yes.
We might call him 6 or 66.
666.
Or 666. Now, you also said before the show, it's also not so auspicious in Christian circles.
Yes.
Because?
I don't know.
Means the devil. Actually means the beast, and can also be the devil. And let's see who was commenting on that. Yeah, Gordon Smith, the number of the beast. Jody Shields is saying hi from Wanji. Greg Phillips is only 0700 in Australia where he is. Damien's show, yeah, Steve Gruber saying 666, isn't that the devil's number? Well, again, not if you're Chinese, it's auspicious. So we'll take, won't we, Julia, the auspicious nature of the number for today's show. John Emmett checking in saying happy Friday, everyone from Weymouth in the UK. Jody saying, I'm here eating humble pie that racing last night was so cool. It was, in fact. They had a good breeze, kind of 10 to 15 knots. And the racing was, weren't a lot of position changes even, but at least they got around the track without falling off their foils. And it looked better on TV than certainly day one did. Looking forward to the AC racing tomorrow. John Emmett is saying the Jeddah Sailing Club looks like a wigwam. A wigwam.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness. If the sailing regatta happens and no one watches or cares, did it really happen, or was there any noise? Chris, actually, hi, Chris. Hello, everyone from dreary Salem, Massachusetts. Yeah, it's that time of year in the Northeast. Bannerow saying that 666 read as 999 upside down in the Southern Hemisphere.
Yes.
If you replace the I with E, it's better. Yeah, okay, got it. Call your bartender, 6 on the beach, Graham Sweeney is saying.
Yes.
Emmett said for many years he weighed in at 66.6 kilograms. Phil Laughlin is down in Davis Island, one of my favorite yacht clubs in the world, Davis Island Yacht Club, Bill Wingrove's club as well. Tampa, Florida. In all fairness, Jeddah put on a good F1 race. Yes, indeed, they did. Talking about damning them with faint praise, David James. Mm-hmm. Who would turn down 666? No one. No, indeed. Julie, let's go to the boxes we have here.
Okay.
In the studio. First of all, I'll hold this one up and you can describe it. I'll hold it up for camera 2. And it's hard to see. Maybe I'll go over here to camera 1.
Yeah.
This is the Advent calendar sent to us by whom?
The Gillinghams.
Exactly. And we want to thank them very much. It's actually been here for the better part of a week, hasn't it?
Has. And it's even better than most because it has little jars of special jams and spreads.
Spreads. It's heavy.
It is.
Look at you. Open it up. Here. I'm going to open it up.
Yeah.
On camera 2, and there are the day. Where's day 1? Today's 1. Should we open up day 1?
Yes.
Today's December 1st.
Yes.
It's December! And we open it up. And here, Julie, you can hold that up to your camera.
No,
Ooh,
right.
That looks good.
Mm-hmm. I have to put my glasses on to read it. Oops.
Bon Maman, it's, I think.
Oh, yes.
Bon Maman.
White nectarine, peach, lemon, verbena spread.
Verbena?
Uh-huh.
I've never heard of that. What's that mean?
It's a
fancy.
Yeah, it is.
That's the fancy as that. Normally don't you get chocolates in Advent calendars?
Or pictures.
Or pictures. This is fantastic.
It is.
Thank you, Gillinghams.
Indeed.
Appreciate that very much. And now another box here, Julia. I don't know from whom
the boogeyman
this has come, but it came in the mail, I think, yesterday, and it's called Mixed Tiles. I'll open it. It's a big box, and one of you presumably sent it, but I don't know from whom it came. And it says, make sure your mixed tiles stay up forever. Peel, stick, detach, press the magnet. Well, it can be magnetic or it can be pressed. So what the hell is a mixed tile? Well, this box has a whole bunch of, there's the sticker and maybe the magnet as well. I guess it's both magnetic and sticker, and a whole bunch of these. This will be very good for soundproofing here in the studio.
Yeah, it is.
To help treat the walls, sound treatment. But there must be there must be, I don't know, dozens of these things.
Really?
And I don't know. At first I thought maybe it was from Sharon Green, our photographer, but there were a lot of different. Julia, watch the comments in case somebody claims it. But a lot of different. Let me go back here. Whoa! Close up on camera 1, and a lot of different sailing pictures, cool sailing pictures.
Yes.
Look at this.
Neat. Ooh,
I feel like Johnny Carson back in holding up pictures to the camera.
Yeah.
And they're foam, as I said, they're foam. They've got a sticker and a tile on the back, a sticker and a magnet, rather, on the back of the tile.
Wow.
Look at that. That one's cool. Look at that.
Yeah.
What kind of boat is that? So I don't know who sent this.
But thank you very much.
Indeed. And Gordon Smith is sending us a package, which he said has gotten to U.S. Customs. Look at this. I'll show one more. Fabulous shots. And, the quality is not on the reproduction on the tiles is not perfect, but pretty darn good.
Oh, yes.
Pretty darn good. So whoever did send them, thank you very much indeed. And we will, I guess, Julia, unless you got a better idea, I think we'll use them as sound treatment here on the walls. We do have sound treatment via these big photos and via some of the other stuff in here you can't see on the back wall here behind me. Well, you can see the picture behind me that is this America's Cup, the late great Jim DeWitt. It's also a painting, and it's not solid. So there's a little bit of sound treatment there, and we have a big sound sink right here in the corner of the room. That's what we call the sound sink, right, Julia?
Right.
We had some Fozzie take a nap here on our sound sink. Here
some very famous.
Some famous Fozzie. So I don't know, again, who sent it. The JY15, Gruber thinks, the Dorade Trophy, JY15, Fritz Mueller, nice. Wow, those tiles are cool indeed, Chris, actually.
They are.
So I don't, liquor-filled chocolates. So I don't know. Yeah, French conserves. We need a boozy advent calendar. Well, regardless, thank you very much. These mixed tiles are cool, and somebody had a great idea. Alistair Murray saying sail Melbourne Regatta on at the present, but you wouldn't believe it is the second day of summer, cold and windy down under.
Oh, right.
Thanks for that comment. Thanks for whoever sent that to us.
No, they'll be put to good use.
They will indeed. They will indeed. Okay, let's get on to this day in history. Do you know, Julia, what happened on this day in history? The first, obviously, of December 1990.
Oh, 1990.
Now, there was, on the 1st of December 1999, 99, was the first diagnosed case in Wuhan of COVID. But that's a downer. I thought that was depressing.
Yeah.
So I didn't go with that. I went with what happened in 1990.
David James says the channel opened.
David James always got it. And got it right, and usually first.
Yes.
The channel opened, and I didn't even give the clue. Maybe David's got my computer, our system here, hacked. There's the one and only clue. When the Brits met, it didn't open. He doesn't have it right. Sorry, David. I got ahead of myself. It's not right. It's when they met.
Oh.
Mid-tunnel, the diggers.
The diggers.
Someone opened an advent calendar, John.
Right.
Now, the channel didn't open, but they met. The French and the Brits met. And that was
historic.
Yeah, it was indeed. Well, it was also started. I didn't know this, Julia, but it was also started. The digging at either end was started also on the 1st of December. I don't know what, 10 years before that? How long did it take them to dig to the middle? Mm-hmm. But that is what some call the last wonder of the world. Certainly the latest wonder, one of the latest wonders of the world. 1990, the British and French workers meet in the middle of the Channel Tunnel under the English Channel on this day in history, the 1st of December, 1990. Gruber says, it looks open to me. Ryman's got it. They met in the middle. Yeah, I think Ted maybe got just one step more closer to than David did. They met in the middle. Looks open to me, Gruber.
Yes.
Okay, Julia, what is being celebrated today? And in the tease, I said that it was the Independence Day of a famously good, but small but good, sailing nation. You see the flag behind what is not a lower third, but a lower 2/3. Hello, Monica Mino.
Yeah. Malta.
No. Green and red. Iceland. Nope. Banner O. Rick, the fuzzy Fozzie. Fritz Miller. Ding, 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 ding. We should have some sound effects.
Yes. Yes.
Fritz Mueller gets it. Excuse me. John Hanfield gets it. And what is being celebrated today? Portugal's Independence Day, December 1st, 2023, that dates from the 1600s. Portugal Independence Day is celebrated every year on December 1st in Portugal. The country achieved its independence from Spain in 1668. The day commemorates the reinstatement of sovereignty after the period of Spanish rule between 1850 and then 1640. You know what happened between 1640 and 1668? They fought a war with Spain. So since then, it's both their Independence Day and then it's their reinstatement of independence, because they had independence theoretically in 1640, then fought a 28-year war to get it back in 1668. Since then, Portugal has emerged as a colonial power, not so much today, I suppose, and successfully colonized countries in Asia and Africa. Portugal, Independence Day is a public holiday in the country, and all schools and businesses stay shut. The day is celebrated with great fanfare in the country. People gather to sing, dance, attend carnivals, and attend patriotic events. I hope they have regattas, yacht races. Today, Portugal has emerged as an important center for sports and tourism, including for our beloved sport. A lot of yacht racing events held in Cascais, north of Lisbon, or down through Sines and down through the Algarve. Fantastic country.
Yes.
As we've discussed on this show before, I would not, Julia, be adverse to retiring there.
Yes. No, it's lovely, and I know people who have.
Cost of living is low. The people are wonderful. The weather is even better than Southern California. It's the same idea: a cold current off a west-facing coast. Nice sea breeze comes. They need more breeze. I mean, they get pretty much more breeze than they do from LA down through San Diego.
Yeah.
Beautiful. World sailing should be in Lisbon, John Hanfield reminds us. Gordon Smith gets it right. My turn is at Portugal. Yar Vahe. Hi, Yar. Best surf in Portugal, but don't get your J105 involved. A lot of dragon sailing at the Cascais Yacht Club. Is that the name of the club? Royal Cascais Yacht Club. Rick Banro is also saying December 1st, 1918, Iceland became a sovereign nation, the Kingdom of Iceland. Iceland was thus recognized by Denmark as a fully independent nation.
Ooh,
Smart FOSI we have on here,
indeed.
Julia. So we're thankful for that information and for the FOSI, and we're thankful, of course, for those of you who support us via Patreon, patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrators, and give us a few bucks per month, which keeps us on the air with this viewer-supported media. Julia, we're going to have a caption contest later. This picture was released by the Event Authority, America's Cup Events, ACE, after the first day of racing. And this is the sports minister, the Saudi sports minister, obviously with Mr. Dalton. And I know there were a lot of comments when I posted this on my Facebook page, a few comments. And I thought that would be fun to have a caption contest later on in today's show. So get this also cover slide, so you'll see it a few more times through the show between segments, and get your thinking caps on and come up with a clever comment. Okay?
Yes.
Are you up for that?
Yes, I'm getting really bad ones for starts. So.
You are? Bad ones meaning dirty, or bad ones meaning not clever, or?
Both.
Ted Ryman, they're all starting already. My wallet is over there, Your Highness. I'm watching Jeff Waller down in Australia saying, he's, of course, World on Water. He's saying, I'm watching the Super Maxi Law Connect currently live streaming during the Cabbage Tree race. I think Jeff has got a pretty cool announcement about what he is going to do after the start of the Sydney Hobart. I won't steal his thunder or say anything more than that. But Jeff's going to do a cool thing during the Rolex Sydney to Hobart yacht race coming up, starting on the 26th down under of this month. Emmett is saying, Sangmeister John is saying Jeddah like Villanova, but 50% less wind. Well, not today. They had good breeze today, and 80% less human rights. Yeah, John's posted that across the internet. I think he got banned from the
oh, he did.
From the America's Cup Facebook page, because every time they put something up, he posted an image of 9/11, which, frankly, it irks me. That's part of the reason I'm irked about this event, as you all know from our show on Tuesday. But we beat that to death pretty well. Jacinda, our former PM, presumably,
Yeah.
suggested I give you a call. Did you see, speaking of GD, is that a bone saw? It's pretty clever, David James. Grant Dalton saying to the sports minister, is that a bone saw? Apropos the dismemberment, the alleged dismemberment. I guess if the CIA says it happened, we believe it, right? Well, I don't know. The alleged dismemberment in the Turkish consulate of the journalist Jamal Khashoggi. That's clever. Did you see, Julia, that New Zealand, not take that off. We don't need to see that. Did you see that New Zealand's new conservative prime? We got conservatives coming into power across the globe. We got Argentina and New Zealand, obviously, and apparently the next PM in the Netherlands is going to be a populist conservative. So, and others already, the Germans, conservative. But did you see this new PM in New Zealand, in New Zealand, not in Holland, has said that he is going to ban across the nation cell phones from school kids because their numbers, I mean, the literacy rate among, I don't know what it was, 8th graders has gone down precipitously. Part of that's COVID, obviously, part of it's the lockdowns, but he thinks a lot of it is the cell phones. So we shall see. And he said he's going to do that in the first 100 days of his term, which is either just started or is about to start.
Interesting.
Well, it's good to have.
We seem to have survived school without.
No, we haven't at all. The literacy rates here in the U.S., our schools are a disaster.
No, I mean when we were in school.
Well, without phones.
Without phones.
Spot on. You're exactly right. We got through school, although it'd be a lot of fun to sit there when you got bored. I used to pick on that. I'd get bored. I'd get the homework done, and I'd look, if I had a phone, I'd be looking at porn or something, or looking at the sports scores, or, I'd be doing something awful instead of paying attention. Best year I had in school, I was at a country school, and the class, they had combined kindergarten
Grades.
first, and combined second and third, and combined fourth and fifth, and I was in 4th grade. So what are you then, 9 years old? And I'd do the 4th grade work.
And then you did the 5th grade.
And then you do the 5th grade work.
Yeah.
And that was great. The only problem was when I got to 5th grade, which was in another school where we had it was an inner city, big city school. The teacher was not amused because, we were, and it wasn't just me, there were several others that had gone through that same thing, and we were way ahead of the other kids. All we did was pick on the teacher. We know that. Yet we were not. I regret that. That teacher did not like me at all. Called my parents in and said I was an obnoxious.
This is not news.
Impatient, obnoxious. That's okay. Anfield saying kids think language arts is regular language arts. No punctuation or capital letters. Yes. Mm-hmm. I hope the Ilka 6 Portugal sailor gets a place for the. Yeah, John's going to talk about that in his report. It's a great report today. Another great report.
Oh, good.
Danish kids. I didn't know this, Gordon. We're going to do Gordon's daughter, who interviewed James Pleasance some time ago. We're going to do an interview. Well, we're going to run that interview actually in due course, not today. Mm-hmm. Danish kids hand in their phones before class. Okay. Interesting. Mm-hmm. That's what else? Hi, Grant. This is Sweeney saying, hi, I'm Grant. I also know how to rob, lie, and steal. Just ask my yacht club. I'm a pro. Okay. Not a good way to win friends and influence people. Yeah, James Bland, you're right. But I was 9 years old and full of myself, and more so than even today. And I apologized to her at the end of the school year. And not because my parents made me, but I was just bored and I'm impatient, as Julia knows. I'm famously, it's perhaps my, like most of us, but our greatest quality is also probably our worst quality, right? Let's get on to SailGP, talk about something fun, not to talk about ourselves and about being impatient. But we told you, and that's the other quality, I love to pat myself on the back. I'm so insecure and thin skin. We told you on Tuesday we had a one here's. I've got a new one here's. graphic there up in the corner, Julia.
Mm-hmm.
And we told you then that this guy, Ryan McKillen, the ex-Uber engineer, was going to be the chairman and quote-unquote owner with some others who would be co-owners. And he was an Uber engineer, we said, circa among the first 10 or so people. He there on the right, Ryan McKillen, circa 2010, it may even been 2009, in Uber. We also told you that Taylor Canfield, both Fosies have been on the show, Mike Buckley, would be the skipper, driver in SailGP parlance, and that Mike would not be on the boat. And I'm hearing, he might step in from time to time. He's a hell of a good sailor, but he would be the CEO.
It's nice to have them divide those duties.
Agreed. And agreed. And I think increasingly people are figuring out that I hope Sir Ben figures it out sooner than later, that trying to be the CEO and the driver, skipper, is very difficult indeed. Yeah. Mike's also a co-owner, so that's good news. And they've got this big sports marketing firm we'll tell you more about next week, with celebrity entertainers, sports men and women, and rappers and musicians and a few others involved in the apparently in the ownership team. So that's kind of cool.
Yep.
And we told you the formal announcement would come after our Tuesday show on Wednesday morning, and it did. It came bright and early Wednesday morning, our time, later on the East Coast. And the press release came out, and it said that sport, tech, and entertainment leaders joined forces to purchase the United States SailGP team. Mark Lasry's Avenue Sports Fund, which I had not heard of, but we're checking into it, to lead the investor group in acquisition of the U.S. team, with owners Ryan and Margaret, his wife, Maggie McKillen, whom we featured on Tuesday's show a bit, and, of course, Mike Buckley as a co-owner. That was their Wednesday morning press release, which went on to say SailGP's United States team has been purchased by technology investor and founding Uber engineer, well, one of the founding Uber engineers, Ryan McKillen, his wife, Margaret McKillen, that calls for some coffee, Julia, and two-time world champion sailor Mike Buckley. They are joined by a diverse group of investors representing the sport, technology, entertainment, and media industries. Under the new U.S. SailGP team structure, Ryan McKillen will serve as chairman, Mike Buckley as CEO. The team has appointed 7-time world champion sailor Taylor Canfield as team driver. We use the word driver a lot. It's a perfectly good word. We say, oh, who's driving today? But to call it that instead of skipper, formally, it's like somebody taking their fingernails down talking about grade school, right?
Yeah.
The release went on to say, by bringing together, this is a quote, by bringing together this remarkable group to acquire the U.S. SailGP team, we have reached an important milestone in the growth of our sport. Have we, Ryan? I hope you're right. I wouldn't get carried away. U.S. SailGP team co-owner and chairman said, quote, as sailors, we love this sport, and this is great news that he's a sailor. We love this sport and want to introduce it to millions. As entrepreneurs, we recognize the potential and growth trajectory of SailGP and how our U.S. SailGP team can introduce the future of on-water racing at the highest level. Our incredible ownership group is a testament to the growth and expansion of SailGP into the mainstream.
It is a great group.
It is, isn't it? Sounds good. Sounds good on paper anyway. U.S. SailGP team partners, this is also great news. Red Bull, T-Mobile for business, and Gic, the sailing and other clothing manufacturer, technical clothing, have reaffirmed, good high-end technical clothing, have reaffirmed their commitment to the U.S. SailGP team, working with the team and league to cater to a growing fan base, innovate across tech, sport, and lifestyle, and deliver premium event experiences.
Somebody's thinking about that. That's
well,
nice.
It's good. I think, it's all good stuff. And this has been Russell's and Larry's dream, is that these franchises would have some value.
Yes.
And that the value would increase. So when you buy one, you might sell it down the road and make more money. Now, we're going to talk about that in a minute. There is a nice photo of Taylor holding the flag, Jimmy on the right, and this is obviously when Taylor he's been with a team, and he was flight controller. I'm not sure he got to sail much because it was very light in the prior regattas since he's been with the team. But Russell Coots every now and then does this so-called Russell report, and he issued another one today, and it's really quite good. I'm going to quote from it now. And I wish Dalton, I wish he'd do a Dalton report, for example. What would we call it? The Dalton Digest.
Mm-hmm.
How's that?
Good.
Huh?
Sure.
You're not impressed.
Oh,
I came up with that on the tip of my tongue just now. She's not impressed. So Russell said, among other things, I commend it to you. It's obviously on the SailGP website. Today, it's their lead story. They've lost some key team members they should have retained, in my opinion, at least for the initial events, to get Taylor Canfield comfortable in the driving seat. Most importantly, perhaps they've lost wing trimmer Paul Campbell James, who's been acquired by the Canadian team. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
I suspect with everything going on, the new management did not get into negotiations with key athletes early enough, and clearly in professional sports, other teams will move quickly. If you don't, act fast. Good point by Russell, and I think a fair and frank comment on his behalf, Russell's on his behalf. And let's see, maybe Dalton's deposit, Dalton's Digest would just be his Venmo address.
No, come on.
David James is clever, but then we know he went to Stanford. Right, Julia?
Right.
Dalton, all about indigestion. Okay, be nice. Come on, it's Friday. Let's be nice. Great news for SailGP. Stingray is saying, I just wish Taylor had learned to drive. Well, yeah, you don't want him having a problem next weekend in Dubai. Dubai, it's not going to blow dogs off chains in Dubai. At least it normally doesn't. It's normally kind of lightish. But normally a bit of breeze. They have a bit of a sea breeze over there on the Persian Gulf. I've sailed there. I've judged there a couple times. Hobie Worlds, I think. Russell went on to say this means the U.S. team will be bringing in multiple new crew members alongside a new driver. That, he's raising his eyebrows, I think, figuratively, that's a bold move. I think their long-term strategy for the crew is great. They have big ambition to develop American talent and have an all-American team. But it might have been wise to keep established sailors around Canfield and get him comfortable before moving on to the next phase of development. Luckily, Dubai is probably one of the most straightforward venues on the calendar, so their lack of time in the boat won't be as exposed as it might have been in a trickier venue like Cadiz. So said Russell.
Mm-hmm.
I hear Mac Agnese is staying with the team, so that's at least good news. That all's apparently going to come out next week, out in the proverbial wash.
It is important that they have a good representative of the old team so they find out where all the little kinks are.
Well, that's true, and we'll see. I'm sure they're going to be quick studies, so we shall see. We shall soon see, because it is next weekend. And of course, they got to announce the team because they'll be fronting up in Dubai on, tell me what, Tuesday or Wednesday to do practice. And, the people will be there snapping pictures and see who's in and around the team. So it'll be announced next week. Now, we did talk a little bit on Tuesday, quite a bit on Tuesday, about Maggie and Ryan McKillen, who used to live here, by the way, Julia. They obviously, and
right.
We told you on Tuesday, they looked out on San Francisco Bay from his office building, presumably the Uber office, and said that sailing looks cool. This is back in 2010, so it's before the 2013 Cup. And I now know who helped teach them to sail. A St. Francis Yacht Club member, who is also a Golden Gate Yacht Club member, our mutual friend, Russian by birth. He's Russian. John Yelda. And Yelda knows these folks, took them out on his, whatever it is that he's got, a 33 or 35 footer, helped teach them to sail, and was going to propose them to St. Francis Yacht Club, but then they moved east. So they're now, I don't know what clubs they're members of.
Somebody told us he was a member.
Who's that? Yeah, well, somebody thought, but I did. Well, I'm sorry about the lower third. I didn't get the K capitalized in that because I thumbed my nose. I'm sorry. Ryan, I'll fix that in the next lower third. But I don't know a club, if any, that they're members of, which they're members, but no doubt they're going to be members of New York pretty soon. I don't have a doubt for a minute, because we have a little video of their home in Newport, Rhode Island, which is only stumbling distance from
the New York Yacht Club.
New York Yacht Club.
Oh, how nice.
And I have a little video.
Look at that.
And see that beautiful view?
Yes.
That, of course, is what? In the background, the Newport Bridge and Goat Island on our newly renamed TV cam, because Julia thought that when I called it Cam 4, that was Croutonic. So we've renamed it TV Cam by Julia's suggestion. The Newport Bridge. This is Connecticut Island, Jamestown over here, beautiful Jamestown. Rose Island in the middle of the bay. This is the East Passage of Narragansett Bay. Providence up at the top. Goat Island here, beautiful photo. The Goat Island Marina building, where my office was when I ran U.S. Sailing back in the day. We used to live, actually. Leslie and I lived in that building, or this building, for a long time. Ida Lewis Yacht Club is just down here to the right. New York Yacht Club is just here behind the trees. And the home in the foreground right here is Maggie and Ryan's new home. Have a look inside. Won't play the entire video because it's about, 5 minutes long, but it's a beautiful house.
It is a beautiful house.
How do I know this? Well, Julie, another mutual friend of ours, knew the house well, knew that they had bought it. I won't say who, but another one of our very focused FOSI, knowledgeable FOSI.
Great house. Ooh.
It's a beautiful house. We should have bought this, Julia. Yeah. You should have bought this and made this Beach Street Yacht Club Newport. Could have had a station in Newport, Rhode Island. It's a perfectly good-looking home for look at that, for a yacht club.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful views, and it's just outdoors. And then this is the final. I've just segued to the end of the video to show you the views, again, of Narragansett Bay. You'll see Fort Adams to the left. Fort Adams Sailing Center. That's Ida Lewis Yacht Club, obviously. Down there at the end of the big long pier, right in front of their home, and New York Yacht Club off to the left. That's not quite New York Yacht Club, but what a fantastic spot.
Wow.
So it's great to have them in the sport. Great to have them in Sail GP. Bravo Zulu to all concerned. And the only question is, how much money did Jim, if any, but one hears that Jimmy got a pretty good payday from having sold the team. He had some ownership interest in the team, apparently. And there are wild rumors going around about numbers of multiple millions of dollars that Jimmy was paid for the team by this new ownership group. Now, I don't believe that it was that much money, but I'm checking it out. And if any of you knows, please let us know.
Is it any of our business?
Yeah, I mean, of course it is. It's inquiring minds want to know.
Yes.
Right? Right? I mean, if one of the professional sports franchises in this country changes hands,
that's true.
We know.
Yep.
This is what Russell and Larry want. They want people to know that you own the franchise. It grows in value as the league expands, as more viewers and so on. And you buy the franchise, and you might flip it. Not in 2 or 3 years. You don't want owners flipping. You don't want flippy owners, but you do want the idea that the value is going to expand. And you're not just, excuse my expression, pissing away your money, right?
Clark Champion says it'll be an uphill stumble from the New York Yacht Club.
Uphills. It is a bit of an uphill stumble. I know the street. I'm not going to tell you the address. I know the address and street, but I cut it out of that video, so we're not going to dox Ryan and Maggie. Maybe he'll invite me over there someday for a cocktail or a coffee. As someone once said, it's not the money, it's the amount, Clark. And I agree with Ed Worley. I hope Jimmy made lots of dollars. I do too. And Jimmy will be getting, apparently, brand new boat number 11, Mark Reed is saying. And one can only hope, Hanfield, who lives in Newport, John it is just uphill. You need to do a show from the candy store next summer, John. Well, I'm going to be seeing the candy store owner, of course, is a Fosey's been a longtime New York Yacht Club friend. And no, that's not the former Commodore's house, Baton Rouge, I don't believe. Florida has good sailing and no personal income tax. And the manager of the candy store, I'm going to see her at the It's Okay Christmas party here in a couple, 3 weeks down in Newport Beach. She's coming out for that. And we'll see Jeannie then. She used to she manages the Clark Cookhouse now. She is actually among the most important people in Newport. I'm sure Hanfield. Yes. Jeannie Sullivan is her name. Mm-hmm. I'm sure Hanfield will confirm. But she used to manage, when it was the most important restaurant in town, the 1763 White Horse Tavern.
Oh, I remember that White Horse Tavern.
When our friends, the Texans, your friends, right. The Texans, the late, great O.L. Pitts and Lee Smith.
Right.
Owned that
had
place.
Their table.
Yeah, well, they had their table. They could have any table in the place they wanted. Actually, so could I, because they were very, very nice to me in the America 2 days. So star skipper Jimmy Spithill, we told you on Tuesday, it had been announced a day or two before, this wasn't breaking news on our part, to start an Italian team following his departure from the U.S. SailGP team. I said then, I was a little skeptical that he'd end up owning it. He might start it. A little skeptical even that he might drive, given all of the talent in Italy. And of course, he is one of the co-skippers of the Luna Rossa Prata Pirelli America's Cup team, but not this weekend. They got other drivers who are doing very well in Jeddah on the AC40. So we'll talk more about that. This, of course, we told you on Tuesday, the article by our esteemed friend and Fosey, Bernie Wilson, star skipper Jimmy Spithill, said he plans to start a new Italian team following his departure. They didn't say sail, but his departure from the U.S. SailGP team and tech titan Larry Ellison's Global League. Why is it, Julia, Bernie Wilson can write with such accuracy, such great choice of words, yes, but without going over the top and becoming...
I know, it's a grand talent.
It is a grand talent. And that was one of the paragraphs we quoted. And that, of course, again, from Bernie Wilson, who our Fosey and longtime friend, he writes still about sports, and particularly California sports. And he's been covering the Cup for a long time. And he wrote that the other day. And the breaking news, of course, now, this is new news of a day or two ago. Thank you to all of you. I must have gotten this from 10 dozen, maybe more, Fosey. So, right. Oh, yeah, even this morning. Did you see Jimmy Spithill's going to be replacing Tommy Slingsby, rather, while he's on maternity leave? Mm-hmm. His wife is due to give birth any moment. So, here is a cool video.
Here's what you can tell the boys, okay? Here's what I've agreed for the buy.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
You want to pay rise now?
It's not going to be cheap. Yeah. But here's the kicker. You have to agree that your son is now being named Jimmy. Okay?
I think that's fair enough.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think it's fair.
You have to name your son Jimmy.
You can call the shots right now.
I'll be the godfather.
I understand obviously. You finally come into some favour.
Yeah.
I'll do it. You got to pay me real money. And you got to name your son Jimmy, and I'll be the godfather. That's not too much to ask, is it?
Oh, gosh.
Huh?
And he agreed.
Oh, I don't think he agreed. He's got to ask his wife anyway. Clark Chavin Bernie can do that because he's a trained journalist and not a wannabe influencer, whatever that is.
Yeah.
Well, there's some trained journalists who are over the top in Jeddah right now, for sure. The sailing community owes Larry and Russell a lot. They've advanced the profile of our sport, Ed Worley is saying. Absolutely. Totally agree. David James replying to John Hanfield, did you know that Thomas Keller used to, yes, I did know that, as the chef at the candy
I didn't know
store. Yeah. That Clark Cookhouse. It's called, the candy store is the bar within the Clark Cookhouse. And of course, Julia, you know the name of the disco downstairs in the Clark Cookhouse? Mm-mm. It's not the only boom boom room in the world, but it's the boom boom room in Newport, Rhode Island. Having spent a few nights, late evenings there. Early, you know me, I'm not a big night. I'm not a big.
Unless it's absolutely necessary.
Yes, unless we have clients or we've got sailors we have in town. We have 20 million US. No, it wasn't anywhere near that. That was circa the amount Sir Ben paid Or am I mistaken? Sir Ben paid for his team. I don't know about that. Someone wants, yeah, okay, we got Clark Chapin's comment already. COVID killed the boom boom. Is the boom boom room gone, John Hanfield? Is it still there? At least Jimmy's modest. He didn't ask for too much. Oh, goodness me. And of course, Jimmy's got kids too. He has a lovely wife, live in San Diego, Point Loma. Okay, Julia, I thought that was a fun video. But I ask you because the whole idea of Jimmy going to sail now this weekend or next weekend in Dubai for Tommy Spithill has not sat well. I looked at, I like to read our comments because I really believe in the marketplace. I believe in our FOSI. I believe when people are responsible and not name calling and using coarse language and being abusive. I really like to read the comments. I learn a lot from your comments and from other comments. So is it correct or cretonic that the Australian team next week in Dubai is going to have as its driver the Australian turned American turned Italian turned Australian again? And this was one, I just took one of these comments because there were a lot of negative comments. And I didn't want to go overboard. But this is Julie Wise, who actually, I think, from memory, I believe if memory serves, Julie Wise has dipped in here a few times. I don't know her I'm not sure that I've ever met Julie, but she says, that's a disappointing announcement. Nothing particularly against Jimmy or in favor of Jimmy, actually. But I thought that there's plenty of talent and options already available to the team. And Julie, a lot of people said, why isn't Nate Outeridge doing it? But he's under contract coaching who? Canadians? Spanish? The FOSI will know.
No longer the Japanese.
No, that team's gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know Nate Outeridge, but remember, and Russell went in great length in his Russell report. So I commend it to you. Go back, and he made arguments mostly pro. I don't think he made any con arguments, but Jimmy's arguably one of the highest profile, if not the highest profile names in the sport. He, like Pete Burling, in the modern era, has won the Cup twice, 2010 and 2013, as the skipper for Oracle Team USA. He's funny. He gives great press conference. And having him in the league, having him race next weekend, having the drama, having the story of, okay, now can Jimmy go sail a boat that's obviously well crewed, because Tommy's boat has done very well. Jimmy's not done very well. Okay, he did well in the most recent regatta in, was it Cardiff? And he's had a little bit better upswing here of late, but last year it was dismal.
Yes. And
can he step on to Tommy's boat and do nearly as well or as well as Tommy Slingsby has done with that Aussie team? Or will that team take a dive? That's going to make that interesting to watch. Mm-hmm. Yet another storyline. So I give Russell credit. I'm sure he helped engineer that, helped smooth over any ruffled feathers or beyond. And let's see how that goes next weekend. So I for one think that's kind of cool that Jimmy goes from Australia to USA to Italy, back to the USA, at least in Sail GP, and now back to Australia. What do you all think?
Yeah.
David James. If you remember the Boom Boom Room in Newport and the Clark Cookhouse, you didn't do it correctly. Well, I was never that big a cocktailer, as you know, David. Glenn and Mel Ashby were expecting twins. I offered them a major sponsorship if they named them Ron and Stan, after Ron Stan, Alistair. There may be over-the-top journalists in Jeddah, Clark Chapin is saying, but you might want to check their educational credentials. Speaking as the father of a graduate, Clark's son Billy is a graduate from Northwestern University. Medill or McGill? What's it?
McGill.
It's McGill School of Journalism, right? Not Medill. Is that a typo? And yeah, Joe Holtzman, yeah, Jimmy's, I'm sure, being paid to go drive the boat. And he has such, Stingray, you're right, he has such solid gold quotes. I just love that guy on the press, in the press conferences. Is Ben helming in Dubai? As far as I know, Varhe, he is. Jody Shields slightly bummed that they didn't give Nina Curtis a go, but play on. Yeah, okay. Jimmy is now not a U.S. citizen, but back to being an Australian. Aussie. World on water. Yeah, I suppose. It makes sense. Jimmy is Australian. He has sailed with many of those guys before, including, Kyle Langford was with us, with our team. Swiss! Make him Swiss. Nate is coaching Canada. Thank you. So I had that right to begin with, but I was not sure of that. Thank you, Steve Gruber. He thinks it's Crutonic. They probably have or should have the depth on the team to deal with Slinger's absence. Steve, sorry, that's Chris actually saying that. This is like what LeBron James, the famous U.S. basketball player, does. How do you get young sailors excited when they work their arses off and get jumped for a non-team guy for money? Yeah, well, it's professional sports, and that happens. And of course, most professional leagues don't allow team jumping except in certain times of the year. Pick a coming up skipper from the squad, says Gordon Smith. So most of you think it's Crutonic, I gather. Mark Wharton Reed, Jimmy brings ratings. He is one of the superstars of our era, so I think Mark thinks it's okay. Jody says the fact that Jimmy is steering is perfect for storytelling and news clips. John Emmett, NZL and GBR will be in the top 4. Okay. DEN is looking consistent. Indeed, they are, John Emmett. Alistair Murray says the twins, Jose and Hoseby.
Yeah, and also the twins above, which is he has. I lost the thing, but here they are with the Alistair. I have a friend who, when her sister was pregnant with twins, suggested that she name them Denise and the nephew.
Denise and the nephew. Oh dear. Well, as you know, Julia, because my daughter has told you the story, when we were having Meg in '92, and we're in the height of the America's Cup, San Diego, and so on, and LV and Moet was the pouring champagne of record, and I said, Leslie, why don't we name Meg instead of Margaret after Margaret Thatcher and my grandmother Margaret? Why don't we name her Moet? M-O-E, with or without the umlaut, I don't care.
Moet. Free champagne for the rest of her life.
Exactly, and maybe we'll have some champagne too. And it'll be like Cher or like Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
You won't ever forget her name. Oh, that's Moet. Oh, that's she wouldn't have to go by Moet Eamon. She's Moet.
Yeah.
And my wife wouldn't hear of it. Absolutely not. And moreover, Moet, Meg, don't call me Moet, because I tried to just brand her that, call that as the nickname, because her name's Margaret, and she's Meg. Right. Meg, why don't we call you Moet just for fun? See if it sticks.
Yeah.
No way, Daddy. We didn't do that. She would. She said, if you'd done that, I would have changed my name.
Okay.
Yeah, Martin. Hello, Martin. Big Force. Nice to see you on. The new generation is taking over now. Marco Gردoni, who's 19, he looked deadly fast in today's racing in Jeddah. That is true. And there were some pictures. I didn't have time to really grab the picture and the quotes from him, because he gave some good quotes as well. 19 years old. But as John Emmett and others of you have said, this current generation is Andrew Pindar says this, the foiling generation, meaning the moth foiling generation, is quickly asserting themselves. So it is Medill. McGill is in Tirana. No, McGill is in Montreal. So it is Medill Journalism School, Northwestern University, Evanston, Illinois, north of Chicago. Does SailGP have nationality requirements? If not, it is not Crutonic. They don't have nationality requirements. Not very many. They have. I think they'd like to have the teams have a majority, and maybe there's some movement in that direction. Italian's very impressive. Roger Proud. Hello, Roger. Another new name, or at least a new recent name. It might be Crutonic, Steve Gruber says, from a league management perspective, but Jimmy is just taking a job he was offered. Fair enough. I'm sure Jimmy put his hand up at the same time. Isn't Nate coaching the Swiss? Didn't we decide he was coaching the Canadians?
Mm-hmm.
Mark Reed. In the AC, ITA, and NZL seem a cut above the rest. Well, they did today. And it looks like the Kiwis are through, by the way, to the finals tomorrow, irrespective of what happens in the other 2 fleet races tomorrow in Jeddah. Then, replying to Ed Worley, this is Stingray, the number of natives you are required on the team depends on how many years the SailGP team has been racing. Correct. That's right now. Thank you for reminding us that, Stingray. Graham Sweeney, I think they are taking a risk on Spit Hill. If he was a racehorse, you'd have to go count his legs, considering the recent results. Jeff Waller again, World on Water. We should follow the U.S. rule, no dual citizen. Well, Jeff, that's changed here in the U.S. You now can be a dual citizen. And my wife, who is Canadian, Meg, therefore, could choose early on Canada or U.S., and she could easily become a dual citizen now of Canada and the U.S. with her Canadian mother. How come every time I say it's a game, you tell me it's a business, and every time I say it's a business, you tell me it's a game? Clark Chapin, quoting from the movie North Dallas 40. Your wife is very wise. Joe Holtzman, who's known my wife for a long time. Thanks for pronouncing Moet correctly, Tom. Alistair Murray is saying, yeah, Americans tend to pronounce it Moe, which is not correct. It's Moet. Wet. It's kind of it's very short, sharp on wet. Wow, a lot of comments today. If you called Meg, this is Gordon Smith, who has cool daughters, a daughter, maybe 2, Meg Moet, her nickname would likely be Bubbles. Meg has a point. Thank you for that, Gordon Smith. Oh, my goodness. No dual citizen for China, Emmett says, and John would know that, his wife being Chinese. The lovely and proficient and very bright and articulate Lily Xu, articulate in more than one language. I meant, Gruber saying to Emmett, I meant AC experience, and ITA have had their LEQ 12 at least as long as anyone else. Well, remember they're racing AC 40s now. Okay, so that most of you, I think, have a feeling, maybe that's split. I won't call it Crutonic. It certainly doesn't seem like a lot of you think it's correct. I actually, for one, Julia, am supportive of this. I think for the sake of the league, for the sake of television views, for the sake of having stars, and I will be seriously curious. I will be quite curious. I will be curious. You don't need to put an adverb on there, right? I'll be curious to see how Jimmy does next weekend, and we'll tune in for no other reason than that.
Yes.
And to watch the press conferences before and after.
Yes. Okay,
let's get to John Emmett, always a favorite here, and the Coach's Corner. Super fuzzy John Emmett, of course, from Great Britain. He goes back and forth between his family farm and then his home in Weymouth, and he's in Weymouth today, asking us, and you put it in the comments right now, has he kept or shaved his Movember mustache?
Hi, Tom, Julia, and all the Fozy. Welcome to December, and to the Fozy, you have a few seconds now to
put it in. I'm going to freeze the video. Has he kept it or has he shaved it? One heard that ETNZ and Jeddah is pressing all the right buttons. Oh, Stingray, that's terrible. A lot of comments about that. Has he kept it or has he shaved it? Emmett saying the sun was shining, so I went for a walk. Yeah, this is a cool walkabout video. Exley says shaved. Gordon says it's gone. James says shaved. Bye-bye stash because of Movember. They're keeping in honor of prostate awareness, prostate cancer awareness. Porn stash is still here. Hanfield says you're the only one who thinks that. Shaved like a baby's bum. Sweeney says. Well, on to the video. Let's see if it's true or not.
play Guess What I Have Under My Hand if you're playing the drinking game. So happy December, and it's time for me to start walking. I thought, good opportunity to take you for a walk and a talk. It's been a little while since we've done this. For me, actually, I think it's a perfect active recovery. So I've done a gym session, I've had a deep tissue massage, which is exactly as painful as it would sound. And then, yeah, a little walk, and later on in the day, a little stretch. So I'm going to take you down on the beach, and this is nice for running normally, and I'm just walking because of the lower impact. And I think it will slow the walking down a little bit so I don't make you feel too seasick. But for me, always nice to walk along the seaside. And although I'm sailing a little bit less than usual, just doing the club racing at Castle Cove, making the most of that while it's still an option, I think there's a lot of good sailing on at the moment. In fact, there's so much live sailing, it's it's really quite hard to find time to do real life stuff. So you've got the SSL, and of course the America's Cup in Jeddah, which I saw all the teams took part on in the end. And yeah, I have to do, with my coach's bias, a quick shout out to Hamish Wilcox, who historically worked with the New Zealand team and is now working with the new Italian team. So I say it's been so busy I haven't been able to watch everything live, but from yesterday the Kiwis won the first couple of races by a kilometre, and the Italians showed the fleet clear set of heels. So yeah, it's a great great time to be doing stuff, and it's actually made it hard to do the real life training, because it's always nice to watch these things in live because the comments and the interactive it's a really big part of it for me. I never realised it, but that just involved in the sport. So yeah, the racing I thought was fantastic, and it's great to see the boats can actually foil in 6 knots. I mean, there's very few things that sail that enjoy being in 5 knots or less. And you know, this is always the beauty, but also the downside of our sport, that we are of course very weather dependent. And when I coach beginner Ilka sailors, you know, they may arguably and justifiably struggle with their boat handling in the 30-35 knot range. So perhaps you might end up tacking going downwind if you know your boat handling skills definitely mean, in a racing context, you're going to go for a swim. So in training you need to practice to improve, but racing context might be better to tack around downwind. And I actually saw this at the America's Cup. Ineos tacked going downwind because it was better than falling, God, that's a mouthful, than foiling off the foils. Falling off the foils, that's it, get there, third time lucky. Because if they're jibed in that scenario, they would have ended up in the water and going very slowly, which is exactly what happened to the Kiwi team. So yeah, could be some quite interesting racing, and I'm looking forward to catching up this evening with this, hopefully before I join you all on the show. So Friday I'm just doing my, I say, active recovery, and I think one of the important things is having balance in your life. You can't train all the time, and you need that rest day, and it's actually during the periods of rest. I'm trying to work out how I'm going to get up on the beach now, because everything seems to be closed up. It's during that period of rest that your body actually gets fitter, stronger, and recovers from that training. So that's a really important thing. And then it's also important to look after your mental side of things, and the burnout is something we need to be very careful of. So I've just been doing the Road to Gold series, and I was recently chatting with some of the British Ilka sailors, and you know, I've known these guys since they were 12 years old, and I have to say, you know, I probably say it too much, but I'm a huge fan of the squad system. And it's so nice to see these guys, who I still consider young guys, they will all have a chance, oh, I can get up, to go to Olympic Games. So you have Elliot Hansen, who I spoke to on the last Road to Gold. He went for 2012 and, well, 2021. And actually all 3 of the guys ended up on the podium at that event. So you had Mickey Beckett, who's going this time, and is, I'm sure, it's not put my neck on the line too much to say, a clear favourite to be one of the medalists. And then Lorenzo, who's you know, grew up sailing toppers with them and all the same sort of stuff. He was very much a a talent, especially downwind, and he's going to be going, I would imagine, representing Italy, or at least I very much hope so. So yeah, that squad system, these guys just working together, it's been such an important thing. And I think that's something which I actually most enjoy, working with that squad system. So I think we need to be really looking after ourselves and looking after athletes and to keep everything fun. And I think about an 80-20% rule is good. So whether that's in terms of your training or your diet and all these things. So it's Friday afternoon. So my 20% is I'm going to head off now to the Dorset Burger Company, which is one of my favourite. If I don't get run over, it's all right, he just missed me. And yeah, enjoy a little treat for myself. And it's on my way home, very close to the train station. And then I will join you later on the show. Hope you've enjoyed the walk and the talk, and I seem to have survived. Bye for now.
It's hard enough for me to sit here and talk articulately, clearly, without, and of course I am crotonic, but to be able to walk around like that, not get run over,
Right.
be cogent, be coherent, it's an amazing skill. We appreciate it, John, very much indeed.
And he always ends with a nice smile.
And yeah, I mean, you're right. Look at that. And
Yeah.
look at all these comments. He told us on the show Tuesday that his uncle Cecil died of prostate cancer, and he's reiterating that now. And we've just, Julia, had a very dear friend, St. Francis member, famously good guitar. We live streamed. Some of you will have seen him. Jim Sailstrom, who was a St. Francis Yacht Club member and a Bohemian, played with Dolly Parton for years and years, and was John Denver's, until he just passed away here last week, was John Denver, Rocky Mountain High. And, he was his surrogate band. He was after John Denver died, he died in a plane crash. I can't remember. So Jim Sailstrom passed away after a 10-year battle with prostate cancer as well. And it wasn't the prostate cancer that got him, it metastasized and he got into other things. So all of you gentlemen on here, the thing to do is to go get your PSA tested and get your prostate checked and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And thanks to John for reminding us and faking all of you out about his continued mustache. I think somebody's got it right. Lily Hanfield. Lily must be in China. She would have handed him the razor today, if not yesterday. Oh my God, he looks like Sherlock Emmett, Stingray says. Ryman, nice one, John. The stash matches his jacket, Jeff Waller says. Inspector Lestrade. Geez, John. You look like, who's Leonard Rossiter?
I don't know.
Rossiter, that's Graham Sweeney. Graham, who's Leonard Rossiter? Is he an actor or who? Jeff Moxham checking in. Remember this comment. He's just not amused about the AC-40s, and even in the briefs today. Have you ever been in a Turkish prison? Stingray is being asked. John it looks like the sailing coach for MI6.
Yes. Why is that?
And Jeff Waller, I was having this conversation this morning with somebody, Jeff Waller, saying the AC in Jeddah in half-size boats is like F1 in go-karts.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's true. John, watch that shadow coming up behind you, Gruber says. Looks like a code breaker at Bletchley. Bletchley Hall, where they broke the World War II codes. Oh my gosh, look at a chicken jibe skills can be important. J. Frederick Bland. This was the bit I fell down a few shows. I fell down a few shows ago. This was the bit. Okay. And don't call me Shirley. I'm off here. 2020 Europeans, UK sailors took the whole podium. 2020. What are we going? They're talking about squad system and the mustache. That Stingray saying it's like a telltale. The wind is definitely an onshore breeze today. Nice report as usual. Chris actually thanking John. Yep. I noticed that John walked clean past the fancy dress store. Okay, that's a good segue because John sent me this photo of his next destination. He mentioned he was going to the Dorset Burger Company there in Weymouth. That's his one of, if not his famous restaurants. But Julia made me think, we should ask the Fozzie. We should ask the Fozzie to send us a little clip of their favorite local bar, local restaurant, and we could run it. And, and the Fozzie all live in sailing centers, have
Right.
somebody, tell us your local. I mean, Hanfield can go down and he can do a quick video from the Clark Cookhouse or get somebody else to do it. But look at Emmett. I texted, I said, now why is the mustache still on? He said, I grew the mustache late because of the Ilka book. Remember, he was telling us about the photo shoot for his latest book on Ilka sailing. I didn't want to do it with a mustache.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, however, let the Fozzie guess when it will come off.
Yeah.
And I think most of us,
when Lily comes back.
Exactly. I assume.
But that was going to be in April. That's too long.
It's a long time. And I think he's going to be going over there sooner than that, isn't he?
I hope so. I mean,
I think he is.
we don't know.
We don't know. But wait, there's more. I did a little investigation here on the Dorset Burger Company. I couldn't believe he went there just for the award-winning burgers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, well, they do look really good, Julia. Look at you. This got to be your favorite burger, at least picture.
Oh, yes.
Your
onion rings.
Onion rings on top of bacon, on top of a cheeseburger.
Oh.
Does that look good or what?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
Look at that.
Mm.
Well, even John's not that big a carnivore or a burger fan, I figured. So I looked some more on their website, and I see a thing called the Bottomless Brunch.
Aha.
Do you figure it's the Bottomless Brunch that why he's so enamored of this place?
Why not? Could be.
Could be, but I think not. The place also has John has no idea I'm doing this. They have at this restaurant the cocktail rooms. Watch this, all of you guys and gals, especially Jody. John's Local has not only great looking food, but they have the cocktail rooms. The gin room is a refined environment with a range of seating booths that will accommodate groups large and small. We offer a range of, no wonder Weymouth is so popular for sailors. Look at this.
Mm-hmm.
They got the gin room, a range of 30 superb gins alongside delicious cocktails and draft beer and cider. You can order at the table using a QR code or at the bar. But wait, Julia.
Yes.
There's more. There's the Rum Shack. That's the other cocktail room at this restaurant, a more relaxed room. That's where I'd go.
Yes.
For the rum. Inspired by our large selection of local and international rums. Do you suppose you can get a Mount Gay there? Tables can be combined for large groups. The sailors come in and drink their Mount Gay rum or their Goslings, or tell me what. Sharing food is available up until 9 p. and include a selection of dirty fries, and a chocolate fountain. Julia.
Well, we have to go.
Yeah, well, Emmett's never invited us. And he didn't tell us about that. He just said, oh, they have great food. We caught you, John. Don't ever try to, hold the wool over the eyes of Sailing Illustrated. We'll get a one here's that John Emmett goes there for the rum room. John Emmett Sailing gets it from the fleet.
Except he's a beer guy.
Yeah, except I'll bet you he likes to go to the rum room on Friday night with his sailing mates, maybe Saturday night. Mm-hmm. And they could have a draft beer, too. You saw that in the gin room.
Right.
Any more captions for the caption contest? We'll get to that in a moment, but let's now do SSL Gold Cup. We're an hour and 15 minutes in here to our show. 2:15 here in San Francisco, or almost 2:15. Now, you know what team that is, Julia? In the SSL Gold Cup, you see the flag on their shoulder?
Yeah.
That's Brazil. They are through to the semifinals.
Good.
The round of 8. Also, Great Britain with Brazil, the Netherlands, and Italy. All these teams have qualified as of the racing, which ended what? Yesterday?
I think so.
And the other group, Group 2, to round out the round of 8, are New Zealand, France, Hungary, and España, Spain. Australia, I'm sorry, didn't make it through. We had a lot of Australians on here. I was cheering for the Aussie team. I was hoping they would, but they did not. And of course, the American team got knocked out. Lily Zhu, who's the captain, or Fozy Lily, John's wife, was the captain of the Chinese team. They got knocked out a round or two ago. But you got to admit, it's a pretty good-looking, top-notch group of sailing countries.
Yes.
Little surprised maybe about Hungary, but those of you who sail Finns know anything, or Solings for that matter, or know anything about Lake Balaton and Hungary, would not be surprised. They've got a lot of top-notch sailors in that country. So bravo Zulu to them all. And we'll see how this goes on tomorrow. It's the second and the third. They wrap up the semifinals, these two groups, and then the final four teams will go at it on Sunday.
Oh, good.
So we'll know for Tuesday's show who has won the inaugural SSL Gold Cup being sailed in the Canary Islands. So let's see the wrap-up video from yesterday.
We have a go for main engine start. We have main engine start. 4, 3, 2, 1.
It was a nerve-wracking quarterfinals for the SSL Gold Cup Finals Series. The new teams that came into this round knew that their opposition would be fierce, and any mistake at this point could potentially take them out of the competition for good. From now on, no new teams will come in to the later rounds. At the end of this quarterfinals, only 8 of 16 teams will be left. These 8 teams will be divided into 2 fleets for the semifinals. In the semifinals, each fleet will only race once, leaving only 4 boats left for a do or die, win or go home epic final battle that will crown the nation's world champion. This round started out with 2 days of very light wind, where we saw teams having to shift their weight around in the most delicate and precise manner we've seen since the beginning of the races. Massive spreads in the fleet, as boats having taken the same start would then cross each other, as one going upwind and the other heading downwind. In Fleet 1, Great Britain came into the Golden Day having won every single one of their races, and as expected, they won race number 4. Great Britain is going on to the semifinals along with France. France and Malaysia had a massive battle. France managed to put a penalty on Malaysia just 20 seconds before the start, giving them a clear advantage. And from that point on, France stayed out in front and allowed them to move on along with Great Britain to the next round of the semifinals. Malaysia and Denmark are going home. In Fleet number 2, we saw a great start from the Hungarian boat and from the German boat. In the end, a huge battle ensued between the Germans and the Netherlands. The Netherlands tried to luff the Germans. The Germans tried to give a penalty to the Netherlands. In the end, it was complete chaos at the windward mark. Both teams struggling to put their spinnakers up and set. And in the end, that gave the opportunity for Chile to get away from them, finishing second, as the Hungarian boat finished first, Netherlands third, and Germany fourth. In the overall standings after 4 races for Fleet number 2, Hungary and Netherlands are moving on to the semifinals, and Chile and Germany are going home. In race number 4 for Fleet number 3, we saw a crazy start where New Zealand went over the line too early and had to turn around and come back. Brazil managed to make the best out of it and get to the windward mark first, but not before New Zealand came back, as we saw a huge battle between Brazil, New Zealand, and Australia. In the end, New Zealand goes across the line first. Brazil and Australia go across the line almost simultaneously, and Portugal crosses the line fourth. In the end, Brazil just managed to pass in front of Australia, and after 4 races in this Fleet number 3, we see Brazil and New Zealand moving on to the semifinals as Australia and Portugal are going home. In race number 4 for fleet number 4, we saw a great start between all 4 boats as Italy and Switzerland will have a full-out battle. If Italy wanted to have the opportunity to get into the semifinals, they would have to finish in front of Switzerland. In the end, Italy managed to stay out in front of Switzerland as we saw Spain go across the line first, Italy second, Lithuania third, and Switzerland fourth. The overall standings after 4 races in fleet number 4 sees Spain and Italy moving through to the semifinals. Switzerland and Lithuania are going home. Don't forget to join us Saturday for the semifinals of the SSL Gold Cup Finals Series, the Football World Cup in sailing.
The Football World Cup in sailing. Julia,
Yes.
I guess the music was good,
Yeah.
but I can only, that's 5 minutes of him going, la. And when I asked you during the video what you thought, you were polite.
Well, I understood him. I understood.
That's what I said. You're polite.
I understood what he was saying.
You're so polite.
But
Excuse me. I like the racing. I like the format. I like what they're doing.
the film was terrific.
And the video is fine. You could argue it went a little long, but still, it's good stuff. For our purposes, probably a little long, but for the people watching this on YouTube, that's where it's on YouTube. It's a 5-minute, I think, 20-second video. A week from Tuesday, not next Tuesday, the following, the week from Tuesday, I'm proposing that we put it to the FOSI, what do they like best and why? The America's Cup and AC40s, or the America's Cup style racing, Sail GP, which we will have seen in earnest next weekend, or the SSL Gold Cup, which wraps up tomorrow and Sunday. We got these 3 big events, mega events.
They're all good, though.
They're all good, and they're all different.
Yeah.
But which do you like best and why? And maybe even we'll do a Zoom. Maybe we'll do a Zoom and invite all of you, the FOSI, that care to, that want to come on. And you got to get your hair done, and you got to put your makeup on. To appear on, no, you don't. We don't care. You can put a baseball cap on. Except Julia doesn't like baseball caps. Okay,
Especially backwards.
Bravo Zulu, though, I mean, for their first time around, it's not perfect by any means, but it's really quite darn good, I think.
I do too, and it makes things seem very fair.
Well, exactly. I mean, the boats are supplied. The boats seem even. I've talked to, John Sangmeister's son, Peter, who sailed on the American team, and he thought it was a crackerjack event. He thought the boats were good. It was light when they sailed, and the light air, like anywhere, can be light anywhere. Yeah. John Denver died in Monterey Bay, down south of us here, when his plane ran out of gas shortly after takeoff. Joe Holtzman said he couldn't switch fuel tanks.
I don't think that's quite true, but he did die in Monterey and had run out of gas.
Yeah, well.
And I was there.
You were in Monterey, or you were there?
In Monterey, and at the spot the day before.
Oh, you weren't there trying to help him or anything. You weren't out there on a boat trying to rescue him.
No, I was ashore.
Yeah, a number of people saying he didn't know how to rescue. I didn't deal with this fuel tank. I wish I played the bongos with Dolly Parton. Jody is saying. Somebody up above said, "Yeah, I think the late great Jim Sailstrom was playing. Was he playing with David James? Was he playing with Dolly Parton, or was he playing guitar with Dolly Parton?" Now, come on, David, you know the answer to that. He was playing guitar.
Yeah.
Fabulous guitar player. I've had the great pleasure of playing at length with him and his son, James. And I also played one night, all night, down there in Alistair Murray's hometown in Melbourne. I played all night with one of the Beatles. After a Formula One race in '97, George Harrison was a big F1 fan. and we ended up playing there in the ballroom in the Crown Plaza Hotel up top where our team party happened. That's another story. Pedro Foiling Sailor is back. I woke up this morning. It's another. Yeah, we're all the same. You know, the cancer stuff. That anything else, we are just all. At least I am happy when I wake up in the morning. Right, Julia?
Right.
Have you noticed that all non-foilers have facial hair? Non-foilers. I miss Liverpool Lils. Yeah, it's a rest our local here, and there was a place called the Last Call, which is still there. The final, I should say. Peer View, can we all just agree on the Peer View's closed, isn't it? Everybody, Peer View and Cows, David James is saying. Everybody's talking now about their favorite bar, their favorite. Hanfield says, I will do a video for Tuesday's show. Maybe I can even grab David for a quick hello. No restaurant has more sailing history on the walls than Clark Cookhouse. Probably true. Does it have a cider cellar? Gordon Smith wants to know if they got a cider cellar at that restaurant that is frequented by John Emmett. Alistair saying, I have a gin room and a rum shack at my place in Metone. Come and visit. We'd love to. Alistair, thank you for the invite. Yeah, looks like a nice place, actually says, but where do you throw your gear bag? The Rum Shack is also the name of the jail in Antigua. David James. Now, Clayton Embley, he lives in Lexington, Kentucky. I was texting with him this morning. He says, I bet you don't have a bourbon. You know, he's the captain of the ferries in Lexington, Kentucky.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, we're gonna get him on here at some point. And he also has a side gig with some bourbon boats. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And this being the drinking show with the sailing habit, we've got to have that checked out. And we got to have an interview with Clayton Allen Embley. So much alcohol, so little time. Clark Chabon, who I can tell you, having grown up with him, he didn't drink as a kid, obviously, but he has a fond spot in his heart, Julia, for martinis.
Uh-huh.
What else? No, I promise you the team colors on the TNZ boat is not the pride flag, Anfield. And Emmett says one of the reasons he likes that restaurant, it's only 50 meters from the train station and a good first stop place to wait. Yeah, GBR does appear to be dominating SSL. I don't believe they've lost a race yet, right, John? They look very, very good. The snow is deeper than the dog is tall. There's a lot of snow in Copenhagen. That's global warming, Gordon. It must be global warming. Okay, they're back and forth about fuel transfer valves. Hungary won the ILCA 6 Worlds last year. Yeah, Hungary's a great sailing country, no question. Bravo Zuda Ian Williams, who is who's driving, skippering for the British SSL team. Wow, look at all the comments.
I know.
Look at all the comments. Those were RC44s. No, Steve, they were RC44s modified for this event. So they are RC44s, and they got modified. They added this, I guess, the permanent sprit, and I can't remember what else they did. Something to the back end, too. GER better remember not to extend their sprit too soon. That announcer sounds like he came from the World Wrestling what are the WWF and the WWE? Oh man, unbelievable! Tweet to 47 feet. Thank you, Clark Chabon. I had no idea how. Yeah, I think Stingray is talking about SSL Gold Cup. I think it is an important event. Oddly, it took Denmark 3 attempts to choose a team leader. Oh, really? And crew for this event. I do not know why they almost didn't take part, which might explain the result. Okay, Gordon Smith. Well, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great watch. I do think this four boats, 2 going forward. I've warmed up to that as well. I like what they're. I like what they're doing. Baton Rouge. Hello, Baton Cannon and normally in Charleston. When you talk faster than the boats look slow.
Mm-hmm.
Hanfield says no AC race can now provide anything close to this in excitement and pure sailing tactics. Yeah, I'm afraid you're right. I hope this event keeps going on in the future from strength to strength, Worley is saying. I would like to see each team have their spinnaker with their national logo like in the Olympics. Yes, I agree, Clark. But again, it costs. who's funding the event. We're going to get him on. He's a Swiss guy, Miguel, whose last name escapes me. But he's apparently redoubling his effort. He likes what they're doing and is going to really keep supporting it in future. One can only hope. Alistair Murray, great event, Crutonic commentary. Coverage is good, but I assume the commentator is a friend of the owner. He's a Swiss guy, I guess. There's been some disagreement over his nationality, but none of us is perfect. You talk about Andy Rose, myself, and our co-commentator Matty Whitfield. We're all amateurs. Trim your mustache. Don't trim your sails. Trim your mustache. I love all me children equally. James Frederick Bland is saying nothing to choose between them. They are all different. All of them are great. That is like David Croft. Okay, I got to skip through these comments. We're going to be here for the next half an hour. Look at all the comments. I love it.
I know.
True about John. They're talking about fuel transfer. Dolly Parton. Graham Sweeney says Dolly Parton could only ever stand by her man. Stand by your man. Standing in front of them was never an option. There were a lot of Dolly Parton comments here, Julia, and I'm going to skip because during that video, I managed to tee up a picture of Dolly Parton.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is a recent picture.
Yes.
On our Thanksgiving Day, so a week ago Thursday, she donned that outfit at whatever, what is she, age 70, what, 8?
Yeah.
Give or take. Somebody
in
look.
her 70s. Yeah.
Look, and she donned that outfit and did the halftime show for the Dallas Cowboy football team, the Gridiron team, and whoever they were playing, I don't remember. And 77, thank you, Baton Rouge. Dolly Parton never looked better. And I was the late great Jim Sailstrom, who played the guitar with her for many years, toured with her, and was one of her. She plays the guitar as well, but lead guitarist. And I was very pleased. I had Jim Sailstrom in this year's show. Jim and his son James were in the show that I produced at the St. Francis Yacht Club Stag Cruise up at Tinsley Island. A couple of you were there. And Dolly, bless her heart, gave us a videotaped. I ran it. It looked like it was live.
Yeah.
You've seen it. I showed it to you, right?
Yeah.
And she introduced, for my show, Jim and James for what turned out to be his final appearance, maybe his final series, because he was not well after the Stag Cruise. Not because of the Stag Cruise per se, but what a talent, what an extremely.
And genuinely nice.
And genuinely nice. I wonder if she'd ever come on here, Julia.
Well, she did by film.
Maybe I'll show that film that she introduced. We'll do a little tribute to Jim and James.
Yeah.
Well, to the late great Jim and his son James.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll put her on. Okay. I just, the cool people we know and have gotten to know, including and especially our Fozy.
Yeah.
How lucky we are. Please stop reading comments from the bottom up. I'm sorry, Steve. It makes you look crutonic because you don't have the context. Yeah,
that's true.
I do try to read from the top down, and I've been trying to do more than that. But when they come in as fast and furious, and at some point I'll show you.
I agree with you.
I've got the comments over here on a rolling screen, and then we have the little window that I can switch to put them in. And I do miss some of the context, but it is easier with this many comments, but it's hard. But I do try to go over here to the side and read them from the top down.
I think it's confusing too.
Well, you're right. You are absolutely right. Oops, we don't need that there. Anyone else want to chime in on the caption contest before we go any further? Because we're going to bring it up one last time. I know a lot of you are very clever. Let's talk about what's going on in Jeddah. The first day's racing, day before, well, yesterday, was just dismal. And I cut out a bunch of comments, and I don't want to run them. But it is instructive to go watch the YouTube video of the racing and watch it live and read the comments concurrent with the racing. But it was, anytime it's light, it's going to be brutal. Well, this was brutal. This was awful. And it's a sad commentary on our sport. When you run regattas, especially important regattas like they did in Villanova in light air venues. Okay, it can be light anywhere. It was light in the Canaries the other day.
Yeah.
But you also have to make provision for not running races when it's too light for the boats. And if they're going to run races when these boats are falling off the foils and displacing, oh man. Oh man. Today it was much better because there was real breeze, 10 to 15 knots even. And while there weren't many position changes, at least the boats looked, they were powered up, they looked good. People got excited, oh, they're going north of 40 knots, at least downwind. Well, we all know that the Sail GP catamarans go faster than that. And as several of you have commented, it still looks like the junior varsity because you got 4 heads. That was a lot of the comments.
Yeah.
4 helmeted heads pushing buttons, just peeking up above the parapet. No sails going up and down. Not very interesting. But
Yeah.
let's see the video from yesterday. First of all, the wrap up video from yesterday. Then we'll look at and watch carefully how many people. The throngs lining. They didn't say that. No, to their credit, they didn't try to say there was huge crowds, nor were there any spectator boats. The boats you see out there are team support boats and race committee boats, almost exclusively. There may be 1 or 2 VIP boats. Watch the video from yesterday, then we'll play the video from today. That has to be the most pathetically disingenuous wrap-up video I've ever seen in our sport. That's not at all what the racing looked like. That was a puff piece. That was a promotion for the Jeddah Regatta. Obviously, the filmmakers are, and there was not even any voiceover to say, hey, this is what happened. Here's how the results went. Crutonic. I'm sorry. It was crutonic. Now, as we will get into it, and after today's racing, it does look like these 2 teams, especially Emirates Team New Zealand, who are through to tomorrow's finals. There are going to be 2 more fleet races. It's kind of a la Sail GP, but only 2 boats through to a match racing final, not a 3-boat final like we see in Sail GP. But before we get to that, let's show you the video, today's wrap-up video from the racing when there was quite a bit more breeze. Pouring Coca-Cola. He said, look, a spectator. No, that's one of my
wives.
wives. That may be the best comment of the day. Okay, again, that's the wrap-up video from today. No voiceover, no billboard at the end saying what the standings are, just a boats out scooting around looking nice and fun.
And fast.
And fast. And fast. Again, not as fast as the Sail GP catamarans. And somebody made a comment after yesterday's racing in the YouTube comments, which I thought was interesting. You know, at least the catamarans, if they do fall off their foils, it doesn't take much, because they got 2 foils,
Yep.
to get them flying again. These boats, they fall off their foils. It's deadly. And again, somebody else said yesterday, and I agree, if you have to tow the boats onto their foils before the start,
I know.
Julia, there's not enough wind.
Right.
Huh?
Right. Gotta know
Bloody
that.
hell. Okay, now you want some real news and information. This is the video that came from ETNZ, which, no surprise, has some real info.
Yeah, I mean, we've been waiting for those conditions and waiting to showcase these boats at that sort of level for a while now. So it was just awesome to get out there in that breeze and have some really tight racing.
Look at the cross coming.
Everyone was selling the boats really well, and there was always a couple boats up there at the front of the fleet that were battling it out. And we had some great battles with a few different teams throughout the day, and we just, I think, managed to come out on the right end of it a couple times, you know, just in those final moments. So just awesome racing and, you know, great fun out there. Not much matters before that match race, you know, as long as you get there. So we'll definitely be freshening up on those match racing skills tonight and focusing on that tomorrow.
Okay, that at least you had some human quotes. And Bravo Zulu Team New Zealand, they look good.
Yeah.
Alinghi is a big surprise. I think everybody was pleasantly surprised by Alinghi's, 3rd place. Oh, that's where they are now. But ETNZ goes forward into, they've already at the top of the leader table. They go forward. It looks like Luna Rosa probably, but not necessarily, will go forward. And to their young team, Bravo Zulu. Bravo Zulu to them indeed.
It's good for him. I want him to make a showing.
Exactly. Okay, now we look at one last go at the caption contest. I just, you know, it's not, to be fair, it's not just Grant. I mean, you could argue that Larry Ellison was both the CEO of the team and of the event, but not really. Larry wasn't really involved in either, except to hire Russell and then put Russell in charge. And Russell was arguably the CEO of both the event here in San Diego and in Bermuda and the team, but much less so of the team in Bermuda. And here, much less so. He did skip back to the team. I mean, I went back to the team as well from the event when things got dodgy at the end. But there were people, different groups of people running the event and the team. And it wasn't a person wholly in charge. It must look really strange to the outside world to see one person as the CEO of, you know, in effect, the head of the league, the commissioner of the league, as well as the commissioner, the CEO of one of the competitors. New York never did it that way. New York never did it that way. The teams had their leaders. And remember, they had separate teams, too. They had multiple defenders.
Right.
You want to say something? You're looking like, Tom, you're going off again.
No.
And I am. I admit it. Okay, well, we'll go to the comments. If anybody wants to have a go at the caption contest, this is your last offer. They are not coffins. They are individual press boxes with lids. Clayton Embley.
Yeah.
2 camels are walking through the desert, Stingray says. One looks to the other and says, I don't care what anyone says. I'm thirsty. Okay. You can fit 3 bodies in there. Okay, that's a little morbid, guys. Considering the wind strength, the racing was very watchable. John Emmett saying, of today's racing. Agree. Totally agree. Wasn't Jeddah the city in Star Wars Rogue One, was it? Michael Tiemann? Hi, Michael Tiemann. Long time. J. Frederick Bland, the loser gets to ride the Spanish donkey. John Hanfield, it's the first AC event that I've refused to watch. I skipped school in '83 to watch the finals. This is a sad state of affairs. Whack boats, Bing Bong is saying. Jody Shields. Both the AC and SailGP will continue to have the problem of light air racing while ever they are locked into a TV schedule. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Caption contest. Look, we have displacement racing and foiling racing to keep everyone happy. Steve Gruber. The AC-75s will be a different level. For me, the more racing, the better. I also agree, John. I think that's why, again, this regatta feels, Julie, a little bit like, the
Radio
undercard.
boats.
The undercard. Some junior, lightweight boxers.
Yeah.
Not the big deal. John Emmett, USA struggled with starting. Well, that's true. And of course, we know why. You are going to race, watch the race, or you will be hanging with Khashoggi. That's why they have fans. Okay. They did pretend. Did they pretend to have large crowds? I didn't see any mention of large crowds in their press work or in their photographs, but it's obviously there was no crowd. I mean, there was next to nobody along the shore. There were no spectator boats. Maybe there was one or two VIP boats. I don't know. Gordon Smith likes the Jeddah Regatta, and he's saying, I don't believe it is productive to use so much time to be negative. World on Water, of course, Jeff Waller is saying the window for racing these AC assets is too fine. It needs to be 8 to 17. Well, that's too far in entire sport. Okay, I'm going to skip through because you're all... okay, Hanfield says, John, you're right. The AC did put out a press release saying this was the best racing since Fremantle. Laughable. That is laughable. Yeah, and the announcer, it's a bad sign when the first boat crosses the line and there aren't any others in the same frame. Yes, annoying video, Banero says. There's just no human drama on these boats. How do these boats go twice the speed of 12 meters but 1/3 the course length? Yeah, hopeless video. Okay. I'll say GP. There's some cognitive dissonance going on here. Other than Gordon Smith, who likes it and is a fan and is a Fozy, bless his heart, a lot of people who probably don't want to come on here and listen to me and watch all these comments. But we welcome any comments, pro or con. What else here? I think Graham Sweeney's comment here, I'll paraphrase it, is also accurate, Julia, and that is when you have to say, and they say it, and in fact, not just one commentator, but each of them at one time or another, in fact, several times say, it's all on, like watch, there's something exciting going on. If you have to say, and listen to commentary on rugby or cricket, or American football, or even bloody baseball, the commentators don't say, now watch this is exciting, or that was exciting, or whoa, that was, no, Formula One announcers maybe do that.
Yeah.
But if you have to say that, it's all on, this is really exciting. Excuse me, if the picture and the presentation and the understanding by the fan is not that it's innately exciting, it's cretonic. And that's what I'm afraid is happening.
Steve Gruber is not surprised by Alinghi.
Say that again?
Steve Gruber was not surprised.
No,
by
Gruber's
Alinghi.
not, but Gruber's very smart like me.
I know.
I've been saying, watch out for Alinghi.
All the time.
Yeah, Steve says. No, as you know. Fritz Mueller, thank you. Is that the Taboos bus? I wonder what the booze rules are. I don't know. I know they're quite a bit more relaxed over in the UAE. Grant has turned, okay, we're not going to be negative anymore. We've already gone off the deep end for AC30 events. Sad. Yeah, Clark, I agree. I'm sorry. And John Sangmeister keeps reminding everybody that nearly 3,000 New Yorkers were murdered by Saudis. And nobody seems, John keeps putting up pictures of the Twin Towers. Okay, we're back to some. At least Larry went to multiple countries. Yes, true. To whom is F1 boring? Close to 1 billion with a B. Watch the final race of 2021. It has speed and passing and car handling and teamwork. Good point, David James. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Dolly, who don't you know, Tom Eamon? Who don't you know? I don't know her. I've never met her. Never had the pleasure, although I did get the get the video introduction from her with the help of a close friend. I didn't get it personally from her. The young generation are all foiling sailors, John Emmett is reminding us. And with that, we'll close this segment, except to say apropos that comment about how good Fremantle was, I was there. A lot of you, some of you were there. Ed Worley was there. Fremantle is not Jeddah. That is the 12-meter worlds in Perth, off Fremantle, in WA in 1986. That entire regatta, the Worlds, the Louis Vuitton Cup, the LBC Challenger Selection Series, and the match with the Fremantle doctor. It was, Julia, you can say it, reliably windy.
And iconically beautiful.
And iconically beautiful. Yeah. As was the Cup here in San Francisco. You could argue that we had a light air day or two, but we had wind limits. And we had time limits, and when it didn't happen, it got called off, and then you went at it the next day, and TV was disappointed. We were all disappointed. But that can happen anywhere. But you try to choose venues that are reliably windy and iconically beautiful, and have a local support structure like Auckland, like Newport, Rhode Island, like San Diego, like Cowes, Isle of Wight. Like anywhere in Italy. Italy, if the Italians win.
Oh, yes, that'd be great.
It will be fabulous.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jeddah is not Fremantle. And I was going to take, those of you who don't read Scuttlebutt, and several of you commented, sent it to me. There was a letter in Scuttlebutt yesterday, last night maybe the day before, in response to Magnus the Magnificent's article that he wrote, the big article, the alabaster halls, the beautiful Jeddah airport, and everything being so fantastic, and it being not so humid, arid. Well, it's arid inland, but it's humid on the coast by all accounts. And this guy who had lived in Saudi Arabia for 3 or 4, maybe 5 years, said, "I'm sorry, Magnus, you don't know what the frig you're talking about." And I was going to run it and read it, and Ed Worley, you and I talked about that last night, maybe late, and I don't want to go into it. Go read it for yourselves, because it's a good wrap up to what's going on. Thanks to Guy Gurney for this photo. Thanks for all of you joining us here on 666. Whether it's auspicious or beastly, I don't know. But we are blessedly to the last leg, and to Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, just short of 2 hours into the show. And a good Whiskey Tango Foxtrot today after the truncated one the other day. First of all, several of you sent this, notably Peter Taylor in New York City. This must have been on the internet, on Facebook. How to measure like a Brit. It depends what you're measuring, depending upon whether it's speed, distance, temperature, mass, or volume. A very clever graphic.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Gruber says, get Gurney on the show. I'll try to get Guy Gurney on the show. Long time good friend. I'll see if he will come on and do some photos and some remembrances for us. That's a good point. How to measure like a Brit. And Clark Chapin took issue with Peter Taylor. Well, it wasn't Peter's graphic, but this thing that he forwarded kindly. Thank you, Peter. Peter's here. Peter Taylor and his wife are here, and they're away up to Wallala, I think, Julia.
Oh.
And this was a chart by our engineer friend, Clark Chapin, who said, speed, you got to say, it depends. Is it on water, in which case it's not? Or if it's not on water, as the Brits still use. The Brits seem confused between imperial and
non-imperial.
Not imperial. Metric. Miles per hour. The Brits still use miles per hour on their roads, and miles for their roads. Interesting, not kilometers. But I would point out that except Sail GP commentators, then they use kilometers per hour for speed. Thank you, Clark Chapin. Thank you for that. Thank you. That's our slide for Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. I'll re-energize here. Worley also sent this. This is a bourbon he says is a vegetable because it's 51% corn by law. I did not know that.
Perfect. But
I want to ask Clayton Embley, our friend from Lexington, our Fozy from Lexington, Kentucky, and bourbon buff. Is that true? 51% corn by law. We'll get Clayton on here. We'll talk about Jim Beam and other bourbons in due course.
It's the sailing show with with the bourbon habit.
The bourbon habit, yeah, maybe. Another one. This in follow-up, Julia, to the comment brief discussion we had the other day about NIL. Speaking of Clayton Embley, he said, "Tom, this is the quarterback at my old high school, Benedictine Military School. His name is Luke Kramenhoek. Hook, good Dutch name. He just signed Julia, get this, a $2 million name, image, and likeness deal. In other words, these high school athletes now and college athletes can sign a deal with a sponsor for letting the sponsor use their name, image, and likeness, which used to be verboten, strictly verboten. And this is a high school kid who's already got a $2 million deal, Julia. What do you think of that?
Oh, he'll never be the same.
You think?
I mean, I'm not at all in favor of that.
Well, I'll bet you the kid is and his family.
I know.
He's a 5-star recruit to Florida State to play football there, I guess, this fall. And I texted him back, you got to be kidding me, Clayton, $2 million? He said, I was shocked as well. I am shocked, Julia. I am truly shocked. And then finally, we've been talking about Christmas lights, have we not? And one of our foesy said, yes, Tom, we have our Christmas lights up. And you know who that is? The Northern Lights.
Oh, the Northern
Aurora
Lights.
Borealis.
Yeah. But I don't know who said it.
Sweeney, Graham Sweeney, up
Graham
in the very,
Sweeney.
very north. Thank you for that.
Oh, yes, that's great.
Christmas lights are up in Yell, Scotland, or his lights are up. Never give a teenager $2 million, Gruber's saying. How much of that $2 million is committed to the child support payments? Lots of comments here. Where are they up here? Good for the kid, but it will poison high school sports programs. I think we all agree with that, Ed Worley, as I'm reading up the comments, not down.
I know.
Bing bong. Tom got to be like radio shows and let us call in for a 1 minute or 2 minute at a time. I'm happy to do that. We've talked about, in fact, we've done that before, not in a long time. Bing bong, if you'll tell us who we are, send me a text afterwards. And I'm happy to do that. And I instead of putting a picture of Dolly up, I could here on the machine just have Zoom open, and you all could come on to Zoom, and we could, on this computer here, and I could have Zoom up, and you all could come on, and you make a comment, and Zoom you on and Zoom you off. What do you think of that, Julia? You in favor of that?
Yes, but not all the time.
Not all the time. Okay. Julia, thankfully, we're to the finish line, almost 2 hours into the show. And you like to say,
it's essential that you like, follow, and share, because otherwise your friends never know about us.
Well, that's true. It helps us with the algorithm with YouTube and Facebook. Thank you very much. And also comments are welcome too, even in replay. And we appreciate very much those of you who support us via Patreon. Thanks for your support. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated, as we also appreciate those who give us video, audio, and images for the show. Let us use theirs. And Julia, do you have any final thoughts?
No, we've had a great panoply of things to look at today and think about.
We have, and we'll have hopefully a nice weekend. And these people, I mean, look at all the stuff we get.
Yeah.
We appreciate it very much. Julia, that's it for us. Thank you, everybody. You want to do a little wave here while I got the studio cam on? Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you on Tuesday. Hope you have a great rest of your week or your weekend if you're already started down under. See you Tuesday. In the meantime, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun.
Absolutely.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
For now.